Hello, welcome to the Villages, Florida. My name is David. I'm a realtor with Florida Realty Investments, and every week I take a look at the real estate market here in the Villages specifically. This week, the headline stories are listings at new all-time highs, sales are not keeping up. We'll have a lot of details as we get into the show. I will show you long-term trends, short-term trends. I'll show you the difference between the different regions of the villages, where you can find deals, where there's a lot of activity, etc., etc. This is a very comprehensive show we produce every week. As a matter of fact, a lot of local realtors watch this show regularly. For those who don't know, the Villages is a 55 plus community. We are essentially like living in a resort. We have championship golf courses, executive golf courses, all spread throughout the Villages. There are facilities within close proximity to every neighborhood. We also have four town squares where there are live bands every night of the week, including holidays. And there is recreation, shopping, dining, and too many social clubs to count. If you want to know what's happening here, this is the show for you. A couple of things to note. First, the Villages has two marketplaces, the VLS and the MLS. The MLS is the real estate market you're familiar with from other parts of the country. There are pre-owned homes for sale throughout the Villages there. The VLS is the Village's own internal real estate listing network. It is the only marketplace on which you'll find new homes, but you'll also find pre-owned homes there as well. What this means is if you are looking to buy a pre-owned home, you will need someone who can show you both VLS and MLS properties. If you only see one or the other, you will only be seeing about half the properties for sale here. All of this information is drawn from the MLS, and we produce this show every week. If you're a buyer and you're trying to find a good deal here, please reach out to DavidisinFlorida at gmail.com or DavidisinFlorida.com. Be happy to help you or answer any questions you have. Also, if you find this information valuable, please consider liking the video or even better, subscribing to the channel. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And with that out of the way, let's look at what's happening this week. Every week, we start by taking a look at interest rates. A lot of villages buy homes for cash. As a matter of fact, last I checked, it was more than half. But the fact remains that even if you move here and pay cash for a home, in the majority of cases, you are selling a home somewhere else, and that buyer is going to need to obtain a mortgage. So the value of real estate generally is going to be affected by interest rates. It does look a little more promising recently. Rates have come down from over 7.25 to under 7. We'll have to see what happens. Lots of changes happening with government spending these days. As usual, I start by orienting those of you who don't know where the Villages is. We are in Central Florida. We're about an hour north of Orlando, about an hour and a half from coasts east and west. Although, as I often point out, most villages rarely leave the Villages because we have so many amenities here. These maps are showing you all active listings on the MLS this week. The size of the circle denotes the size of the home. Larger the circle, larger the home. And the color denotes its price per square foot. The darker the circle, the less per square foot. And we're going to look at the different regions of the Villages. You can get some sense as to how prices and price per square foot and availability varies between them. This is the total number of current active MLS listings as of this morning, 643 active listings. There is some small improvement. The number of listings is at an all-time high, but the increase over last year is only 69% more listings. Last week, it was 71% more listings. We'll take a look at how many listings are available in the different regions of the Villages in a minute. This is the median time on the market for all MLS listings. It is continuing to drop, but keep in mind that as the number of new listings has exploded over the last several weeks, the median time on the market is also going to be dropping. This is the median list price per square foot for all active MLS listings this week, 255.12. And even though you can see on this graph that the median price has really been steadily dropping for the last 3 years or so, if I zoom in on this graph, as we zoom in, looking just at the last year's activity in terms of the median price per square foot, you can see that we are still in a downtrend. And it looks to me as if starting January, that downtrend is actually intensifying. Let me show you how I've divided the villages into four geographic regions. The first is the north. This is everything south of 42 and north of 466. 276 active listings this week, up from 273. Number of homes going pending over the last 60 days is 79, also an increase from the 75 of the week before. And the numbers sold over the last 60 days, 105, a decrease from the 110. The next area is the area I'm calling the Mid-North. This is the area south of 466 and north of 466A. 165 active listings, 167 last week. Number of homes going pending, 73. This is over the last 60 days, 67 over the previous period. And the number closing, 80 compared to 76 over the previous period. This is the Mid-South, the area south of 466A and north of 44. There are 102 active listings this week, an increase from 98. Homes going pending numbered 17, down from 19 over the previous 60 days. And the number selling and closing numbered 29, an increase from 26 of the previous period. The final area is the south. This is the newest part of the villages. This week, 99 active listings, up from 92 the previous week. Pending home sales over the last 60 days numbered 14 compared to 16 last week. And the numbers sold over the last 60 days numbered 18 compared to 16. I'm going to show you a map a little later showing you homes that have been on the market for quite some time, but I will just mention that out of the listings, 68 are over 6 months old, which is over 10.5% of all listings. Here you can get a more in-depth look as to the differences between the regions. You can see that the North has far more active listings than any of the other regions. The 276 active listings this week in the North, in the South only 99. You can see how sizes, prices, and per foot pricing varies between the regions. For example, in the North, smallest home available currently is 672 square feet and the largest 3,087 with the median size 1,399. Compare that to the south, where the smallest home currently for sale is 828 square feet, the largest 2837, and the median 1515. You can see that in the north, prices per square foot range from 126 to 400, whereas in the south, they range from 204 to 525. And it appears that the Mid-South is the most expensive region currently, with the median price per square foot there, 272, and the least expensive home, 214 a foot, and the most expensive, 742 a foot. I'm going to try to interject these maps to break up the interminable flow of data, but this map is showing you all active listings on the MLS this week that have been on the market for more than 6 months. So if you are looking for sellers willing to deal, this may very well be a good place to start. We will return to listings after looking at homes going pending and homes closing, but I'll just leave you with the summary of listings, which this week number 642. This is the entirety of the villages on the MLS system. Smallest home currently 672 square feet, largest 3,921 with the median 1,527. Prices in the villages this week range from 145,000 to just under 2.1 million with a median of 380,000. And on a per foot basis, prices range from 126 a foot to 742 with a median of 255. I'll add a little more color a little later, showing you how the price per square foot varies based on how expensive the home is. Obviously, as homes get more expensive, the price per square foot goes up, but I'll give you some quantifiable data on that. This is price per square foot broken down by price bucket. So for example, you can see that for MLS listings as a whole in the villages this week, the median price is 255.11 a foot. In the homes that are less than 200,000, the least expensive per square foot is 126, most expensive 235 with a median of 174 a foot. There are 13 homes in that price bucket. The most active price range 2 to 400,000, $146 a foot to $343 a foot with 244 a foot a median. And there are 352 homes in that price range. In the $1.5 million price range, the most expensive here in the villages, 442 a foot to 742 a foot, and there are 3 homes available for sale this week. Now let's look at how many homes are entering the market and leaving the market over the last 7 days. We're looking at new listings over the last 7 days and homes going pending over the last 7 days. The negative 19 you see means that there were 19 more listings than homes going pending. The graph you're seeing is a smooth 4-week average, but it appears to me at least that new listings are continuing to increase and pending home sales are barely keeping pace, if at all. This is an unsmooth graph just showing you the difference between new listings and homes going pending. As I mentioned last week, saw 19 more new listings than homes going pending, and you can see we're drifting back down towards the negative 25 line, which will just continue to increase inventory here. I'm not sure how much information can be gleaned from this graph, which is showing us how long homes remain on the market before going pending. 52 days is the median time. The 4-week average is the graph that you see displayed. It is worth noting that if a property that is attractively priced appears on the market here, it is snapped up almost immediately, and therefore I wouldn't be too calm as a buyer. It does require being attentive to find good deals, which do appear here on a regular basis. Another graph seeming to reinforce the plight that sellers are finding themselves in. This is the median price per square foot for the homes going pending. Last week, 247.34 was the median. The graph is showing you a smooth 4-week average, but we are certainly at the lows. This is interesting. This is the percentage change from the original list price for the homes going pending over the last 7 days, almost a 5% reduction. This is not getting any worse, but I certainly get the feeling with inventory increasing that no matter how attractively a seller may think their house is priced, the increasing inventory has got to be causing concerns. And now we come to the graph that everybody is watching with bated breath because we are in the height of the selling season here in the villages, and the number of sales ultimately is going to determine whether prices increase or decrease from here. We are down to 31 sales over the last 7 days, small decrease from the previous week. The graph is showing you a smooth 4-week average, but as I said, this is the height of the selling season, and if sales do not keep up with the increase in listings, then sellers are going to have to face a harsh reckoning. It's hard to argue with the message this chart is giving us. This is the median time on the market for the homes closing over the last 7 days. And even though it dipped slightly last week to 61 days, the graph, as I mentioned before, is showing a 4-week average. The 61 days is the actual data point. In spite of the fact that attractive homes are snatched up almost immediately here, the fact remains that for the last year or so, the median time on the market for the homes closing has steadily been increasing and is almost triple the level that it was last year. Little change on this graph. This is the median price per square foot realized on the homes closing last week, 249 a foot. We are still below 250. Once again, I would caution you that the graph is showing you a smooth 4-week average, but prints under 250 are not going to calm nervous sellers here. This graph sums up the situation. The graph you're looking at is showing you sales per week for 2022, dark blue line, 2023, the light green line, 2024, the red line, and 2025, the light blue line. As you can see, sales traditionally for the first 20 weeks or first half of the year rise generally here in the villages, but we may not be following the same path this year. Everyone, I think, is anxiously watching sales activity levels. Here we look at inventory in terms of how many weeks of inventory the inventory represents. We're just dividing inventory by sales. 20.7 weeks of inventory is the current reading. I will point out that last week's chart was incorrect. I did not update the figures correctly, but I have corrected those. Another graph that sums up seller emotion. We're looking at what percentage of current MLS listings have reduced their asking price from the original list price, up to 55.83% as of today. Interestingly enough, 4 or 5 weeks ago, it was less than half of listings that had a price reduction. And it's also interesting to note that over the last 7 days, there have been more than 100 price reductions on the Village's MLS system. And here we look at what the actual reduction is. This is the median price reduction from the original asking price for all MLS listings this week, up to 4.68%, the median reduction. You can see that basically since the beginning of the year, this has increased dramatically. It was under 3.5%. And it looks like 5% median price reductions may soon be the case here. If you're a buyer and you're trying to find a good deal here in the villages, or you're a seller and you're trying to justify the highest reasonable asking price, please reach out to me at DavidisinFlorida.com or DavidisinFlorida.com. Be happy to answer questions about life in Florida, life in the villages, or real estate in the villages. Or if you have any questions generally, please get in touch. I hope to hear from you. Take care.